All right, excellent. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. I do appreciate the opportunity to share with you some information, some tips and tricks, and help you get a plan together, really, for your internet marketing, digital marketing for the coming year. My name is Will Henke. My business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. And at the end of this, by the end of today, or by the end of 1 hour or so, we will hopefully have your goals set for next year or for this year. How many leads you need, how many installs you need to hit your goals. We'll talk about optimizing your website so that you can get the most out of the people that are visiting your site. We'll talk about a little bit about big picture stuff related to all the different online channels that are out there for marketing your business, latest trends. And really at the end of this, the idea is to have a plan to maximize all of your leads, everything kind of working together. So that is the plan for today, and I'm excited about it. So mute your cell phone if you've got one there. Don't look at cats or babies on Facebook. And if you're serious about getting better results this year, then this is really going to help. We put a lot of effort into putting this together, and want to make this a great event for you. So I do want to make this interactive. So if along the way, as Nick had asked, if you do have questions along the way, I'll ask if anybody has questions. But in the meantime, if you do, you can put those into the chat at any time, and I'll be happy to answer those when I have a break. I want to make sure that everybody's clear on everything we're talking about. And if I need to go back and answer something, I'd be more than happy to do that. So let's get started real quick about us. As I mentioned, my name's Will. My business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. We won the SEO blog top rated SEO agency the last 3 years in a row now. We've got quite a team of people. This is a picture of me and my daughter. We won the top 50 fastest growing company award about 2 years ago now. And I do have a book. You see the picture of the book there. I do have a book. We will talk about how I can get a copy of this in the mail to you at no charge. We'll get that. We are a veteran-owned company, family-owned company. And I'm also in a group called Seven Figure Agency, where I'm one of the member mentors for a whole bunch of people that are growing their agencies around the country. So, all right, let's talk about your 2023 internet marketing plan. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we do have a workbook. This is the link to that, bit.ly or bit.ly/YIMP-workbook. YIMP means your internet marketing plan. So I am going to do this with you guys. And the link is also in the chat that you can grab that if you just want to click on that. And I'm going to go here and actually do that, bit.ly/YIMP-workbook. And it should bring you straight to a PDF. Now, this PDF you can download. You can just go along with us as you want. But this is the workbook for today. So let me put that back over to that screen so you guys can see that. bit.ly/YIMP-workbook. So this is the workbook we're going to be going through today. So this is this workshop today is all part of what we call our digital dominance method. And there are a lot of pieces to digital marketing. It's not just one thing. It's not just social media, right? Or it's not just search engine optimization. There's a lot of different pieces, and all of the pieces have their place. They have their way of doing things, and all of these things are different. But there's a lot of moving parts in order to get a successful digital marketing campaign running. So let's start off with a little bit of interactive. What is the hardest part right now about marketing your business online? I know I was speaking to Mary about an hour ago, and she said, you just don't know where to start. I know that's a good one. So I'm curious what else you guys think what's the hardest thing about marketing your business online?
I think disciplining yourself to do it.
Disciplining yourself to do it, right? And being consistent.
And win.
Yeah. When to do it, and like I said, how consistent to be, especially on the social media side, right? If you go to somebody's business that hasn't been updated in 2 years, that's not a good feeling to have about the business, right? So you definitely have to have all these different things working. That's great, Melody. Thank you. Who else?
I would say finding the help to get it all done and keep it all consistent. So I started up with everything. So anywhere we need to be, I'm there, but I find myself only babysitting Instagram, and YouTube has gone like 2 years without anything, maybe longer.
Yeah.
So finding someone to hit every corner and hit it at the proper level.
That's great, Rachel. Yeah. I did read a report recently that said the average consumer needs between 12 and 23 touches from a business before they decide to engage with that business. Just an incredible amount of what we call touches. So they might see you on Facebook, then they might see you in Google, or they might see you in some sort of a retargeting campaign, or they might see you on YouTube. All these different touches, your newsletter, your email marketing, all these things start to work together. So lots of potential ways to go about it. And at the same time, that can, really kind of frazzle your brain, right? There's so many things you have to do. Like Rachel said, okay, YouTube's gone 2 years because we just haven't got around to doing that piece. So thank you for sharing. I do appreciate that. So a goal without a plan is really just a wish. And I really believe in goals. I think that they are something that really can change your business in a positive way. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you don't have any goals, you don't have a direction, you don't have a focus, you're just kind of floating around doing whatever comes along. And that's fine. It works for a little while. But if you have goals in mind, it's like having wind in your sails, right? You've got a goal, you've got an end point, you've got some momentum behind you. So it's definitely helps your business grow. And there's some really specific things I want to talk about. There was a Harvard survey that was done from one of the graduating classes. And they said, after they did this survey, 84% of the people in the class from Harvard didn't have any specific goals. They went through the school, they knew they had to do something, didn't have a specific goals. 13% did have goals, didn't write them down. 3% had clear written goals and wrote them down, had a plan to accomplish those goals. So out of that, some really interesting results. The 13% of the people who had the goals in their head were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. But even more staggering, that little 3% who had clear written goals were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97%. They knew what they needed to do. They had a focus. They had a way to get there. As Janie just said, having a strategy, having that strategy, writing it down is really a huge key to your success. So as we see from this, you need to have written goals and plans. You need to set at a minimum a 1-year goal, quarterly goals, monthly goals. And then the other big thing here is you need to have a stopping point at the end of each year and each quarter and kind of reflect, did we make the goal? Are we on track to hit the goal? Do we need to adjust what that goal is? Are we hitting our points? Are we hitting our rocks in order? So having those in place can really help you stop and reflect, quite honestly. So let's set some goals for this year. We've got quite a bit of people on here today, so I want to make sure that this is value for you. So a couple things to think about. What is your month or what is your revenue target for the year? And that's kind of the way that we've always done it in the past. And I'm actually going to switch this around a little bit this year to help you with this maybe a little bit better instead of just targeting a revenue number. But working from that, how much is that monthly? So divide that by 12, knowing things like your average transaction value, how many, that'll tell you how many leads you need, and then how many calls you require. And we're going to go through this. So there is a worksheet for this that will help you. It's at bit.ly/YIMP worksheet. So a couple minutes ago, we did workbook. This is a different one that is at worksheet. So I'm going to put that in here too, so I can do it with you guys. Open a new tab. I'm going to go to bit.ly/YIMP-worksheet. Oh, I must have did it wrong. Oh, I did a dot. All right, let me try that again. bit.ly/YIMP-worksheet. That'll work better. There we go. All right, so when you pull this up, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to File, Make a Copy. So this is a read-only document, so we need to make your own copy so that you can edit this. So go to File and then Make a Copy, and that will make a copy that you can edit, okay? So on this worksheet, there's a couple things that we're going to go through that we want to work on. So first of all, how many installs did you do per month in 2022? So if I go here and I look at 2022, I'm going to say we did 100 installs over the course of a year, which works out to around 8.5 per month, right? That puts me at 102 installs for the year. So that obviously is just divided by 12. That'll tell you how many you did last year, right? And you need to know last year's number in order to kind of work through this. So the next thing you need to know is your average customer value. How much on average is each job worth? You know, on average, it could be 2,500. If you're doing awnings, it might be closer to $5,000, right? And that number you would know, and you could probably figure out over the course of the last year. So plug in that number. What is the installs per month or per year? Actually, if you put it in per month, the math does it for you per year. And then average customer value, or what is each customer on average worth? You're going to have these really small jobs. You're going to have these really big jobs that are going to be kind of outliers, but the average install price. So from that, now what you can do when you put in the installs per month, now you can see, okay, well, what do we want to do this year? Well, if we did 8.5 last year, we want to double that. We want to double our revenue this year. We want to double the amount of installs that we do. So I'm going to put in 17 there. And that means that I need to do 204 installs in 2023 over the course of 12 months. Does this all making sense so far to you guys?
Yes, completely.
Good. Average customer value probably doesn't change. Maybe it does. If you bumped your prices up this year, maybe that number's, you know, 3,200 or 3,500 or whatever it is. You know what that number is, right? So now that we know these numbers, what we can do at the bottom is go down to this other tab that says Key Goals and Revenue Targets. And I'm looking over to my left because I've got it on a different screen here. But all right. So when you go over to this other sheet here, what you can do now is put in the installs per year. So in my case, it was 204. I want to do 204 installs this year. Cost per lead, or what is the average cost per lead for getting, what does it cost for you to get a lead? Now, I will tell you, on average, for our clients, that number is somewhere around $150, $160 cost per lead. So in other words, if you spend $150 on, let's say, Google Ads or SEO or something like that, you're going to get one lead for that amount of spend, right? Now, as time goes on, you can do things in your Google Ads to really drive that cost per lead down. But I'm going to put 150 here. That's an average. Again, you would probably know that number. If you don't, put in 150. You can always kind of play with this. That's the really cool thing about this sheet, is you can definitely edit it as you go. So, okay, next, close rate. How good are you at sales? Some people say, I'm really good. I've had a lot of expert training behind this. You know, we're probably at 75%. We close 3 out of the 4 people that call. Now, maybe you're not as great. You might want to put 50 or 40 or something like that. There comes a point probably below like 40 where if you need to put a number in there lower than that, you probably need to look at some sales training and getting that number up, because it's definitely going to help your, close rate. It's going to help the amount of revenue that you make over the course of the year. So whatever that number is, close rate, I'll put it at 50. And then last one we already talked about, revenue per job, right? So, on average, if I get a job, I'm going to make $3,000 from that. So with those 4 numbers, and those are the only 4 numbers we need, from that, now we can start to look at some different things, such as, okay, how many leads do I need over the course of the next year in order to hit my goal? So I need 204 installs. I'm closing at 50%. Mathematically, that means I need 408 leads to come in, right? I'm going to close half of those leads. So that number broken down over 12 is 34. So I need 34 minimum leads per month, which will result in 17 jobs or 17 closed jobs. With the cost per lead, since I'm not closing every single one of those, my all-in true acquisition cost for each client is $388. Hopefully this all makes sense. Stick a 1 in the chat if this makes sense to you so far. That would be great. So I know that I'm explaining this correctly. All right. Next, monthly minimum marketing investment. So this is where it's just doing the math, and it's saying, okay, if you want to hit these numbers and your average cost per lead is $150, and you want to hit this goal of 34 leads per month, then this is what you need to spend per month on average to hit that point. That puts you at this for the year. This is a number, in my case, this is our scale package, one of the programs that we offer, $1,500 a month. The big thing here about this is that means that you're going to have to make up this difference. So if you're spending, let's say $1,500 a month or $2,500 a month with a marketing company, that's not enough for you to hit your goals. You're going to have to supplement that in some other way, right? There's a difference between these two numbers. So that comes down to, are you going to have to do paid ads? Are you going to have to do different things, right? Billboard, radio. I would recommend paid ads, probably the best scenario, but there are a lot of other ways that you can, obviously advertise your business as well. But with this, it really gives you a really cool idea of where you need to be. And then at the bottom, the really cool thing here is how many months until I'm profit forward, right? Very, just by the numbers, 1.6 months at $5,100, you'll be profitable after 1.6 months. Conservatively, if you're maybe not able to close those jobs as well as you thought you could, 3.2 months, and you'll be net positive, right? So really cool. But the great thing about this is you can now go through and change things. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit better at sales than I thought, right? So I'm going to put this at 70%. I'm going to close 7 out of 10 deals that come in. Now it went from, 408 leads, 408 leads that I needed, down to 291 leads. All the results are going to be the same, but because my sales process, my sales acumen is better, we need less leads in order to hit that number. So that's kind of how this works. It's a really cool document. And you guys have your own copy of this now that you can use at your disposal. Play around with this. Let's say, maybe we're able to, over time, drive our cost per lead down to $100 per lead, right? So that's going to drive down what you need to spend to get to that, get to that goal, which is still the 204 installs per year. So any questions about the worksheet? You can unmute, you can put it in the chat, whatever works best for you. I just want to make sure that you have this worksheet and that you're able to kind of get through it easily. All right. Don't see any questions.
Well,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, it's Melody, the new girl.
Hi, Melody.
Not to slow people down. I work on a luxury level where I might do 3 to 5 $30,000 a year. Sorry, 30, probably 30 windows per job in high-end luxury homes.
Yep.
I get referrals from some big brokers in Austin. And so my numbers don't gel with this, and because I'm looking at a bigger job, working longer in the house to get the job done. I'm in and out with my team and my installers. So if I were to look at your chart, it's not going to work for me because I'm not going to take 17 jobs a month. I'm going to take maybe 3 a month that triple or double the amount of each job that you're talking about. So I guess you would just put that in play with those numbers, and it may end up working out. In other words, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality for my luxury end of window treatment.
Sure, it would still work.
I do draperies, and draperies you can do 50 grand in one house with 5 big windows, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, this would still work for you. It would just, your revenue per job would be a lot higher, right? It might be closer.
I hope. That's my goals.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then your installs per year are probably going to be a lot lower, right? They're going to be more like, 40 or something. But the chart will still work with those numbers. It would just be a lot more on the revenue per job, but that would drive down how many of those leads you need, right? You need less leads, which is. Yeah,
I just been doing it for 40 years and I'm the big guns, they call me here. So I just, if I did small jobs, I do it as a favor. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, not to be a snob, but I don't want to slow you down.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate it. Rachel said it should still work. The numbers are the same. Your average ticket is different. Yeah. Mary said, can you review the ROI section, please? Yes. So I did skip that, but so the idea here is, well, let me put these numbers back. Let me put this back here. So at $3,000 per job, if you hit these goals, in other words, you get 24 leads per month and you close half of them in this case, which is 17, your new added revenue would be $612,000 over the course of the year. So this only works if you're filling in the previous year. So the difference between the two. But the ROI, 1,200%. So if I spend, in this case, $4,000 a month total investment on marketing, I should see an ROI of 1,200%, which obviously is fantastic. Gross revenue then from that would be 51,000, and that is D3 times C7. So that is installs per year times what was that, C7 times how many leads you got. So that's overall monthly gross. So multiply that by 12. That's how you get that number. And then cash on cash return is for the investment. How much are you going to return for that? All of these are just mathematical, and you can actually see up here how it's working to make that happen. And really the big one here is, how long before I'm cash positive from a spend standpoint. And the other thing really to look at here is, how much am I spending with a marketing company or a marketing campaign that I'm doing versus how much I need to probably be spending in order to hit my goals. I think that's the big thing there. So, all right, awesome. So got your 2022 numbers that, we kind of went through this. How many installs do you want to do in 2023? So instead of saying how much revenue do you want to hit, that might still be the end goal, right? Is how much revenue you want to do. But we found that if you're talking about this in installs and then breaking that down at how many leads we need to get to that install point, it just makes more sense. And it's easier to kind of do the math that way. All right. So put your 2022 numbers in there. I'm going to skip past all this because I already explained it all. So, all right. So 2023 goal, you should have a number of how many installs you need to do, and then how many leads you need in order to hit that install number. So just curious, if you're feeling up to it, put your numbers in the chat. Would love to see those. I'm also interested in closing rates. Out of 10 leads you get, how many of those do you tend to close? Put that into the chat. Do you think you're closer to the 40%, 70%? Would love to see that. Dave said, where did you get the CPL, cost per lead? So just because this is what we do day in and day out, on average, our clients and the window treatment and awning industry is around $160 per lead is what we see as a cost per lead. So that does vary depending on how long you've been running ads, how long you've been, doing things, how good your sales are. But on average, $160 is the number that we plug in there. We do have clients that are, getting $40 and $50 leads through paid ads, but that's something that happens as time goes on, and we're able to tweak the ads and drive that number down. So that's where I got the number on average, and it's just an average of what our clients do. So, all right, awesome. Let's press on. So let's talk about how are we going to make this happen. The fundamentals for marketing success is really the 3 M's. We're going to talk about 3 things: the market, or who the people that you need to get in front of, who they are, the message, or what are you going to say to them when you get in front of them, and then the media, how are you going to say it, or how are you going to get in front of them? So first of all, we're going to talk about the market. And a lot of times when I ask potential clients of ours, who's your ideal customer? Well, it's anybody that, wants to call us, or anybody with a home. Maybe it's a homeowner, right? Anybody that's a homeowner. Well, that's not necessarily true as well. In reality, you need to be very specific about who that person is and what we call an avatar. And in your workbook, there is actually a section specifically on this that kind of helps you start to build out who your avatar is. I heard a story from the company Adobe, which creates products like Photoshop and things like that. When they go into a meeting about Photoshop, they have these different customer avatars, and they say, okay, before we start the meeting, who are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Julie. And in their minds, they all know that Julie, as the avatar, is a work from home mom. She does graphic design on the side. So they understand how she would use their tool, right? It's going to be different than somebody that's maybe working at a print shop or something like that. So they specifically know that customer avatar will drive that meeting. So, okay, how is Julie going to use this new icon that we're adding, or this new function, right? So same thing is true for us in the window treatment and awning world. There is a specific customer avatar, and there are ways to figure this out. So demographics is one thing. This is the most obvious, right? They're a homeowner. They're between this age. A lot of times they're female because the females are the ones that are wanting the windows to look nice, right? And we could even argue that they're the decision makers in a lot of the homes. So married, such and such kids, they probably have a higher annual household income, et cetera, right? This is one thing that you could start to kind of scribble down, or just as you're going through and meeting customers, start to pay attention to these things and see where those commonalities are. Another thing that you could look at is pains and frustrations. What kind of things are they being frustrated or upset about that would cause them to want to get on your radar in the first place, right? They're worried about the cords. Maybe they're new grandparents, right? And they're worried about the cords with the babies. That would be a good one. What they have now isn't working. It's outdated. The family's coming over for for dinner and they want the windows to look nice, those kinds of things. Customers are getting rained on, right? And they need a new awning out front. That might even be something. Fears and implications. So these are fears and implications of trying to find a company that they want to work with, such as yours. What are they worried about? Well, they're worried about you overcharging them. They're worried about you dragging mud through their house. They're worried about you not being on time. Those kinds of different things that they may be concerned about. The other way around this is, hi, Chris. Check out the chat window. There's a link in there to the workbook that we're going through. I think we're on about page 9 or 10, somewhere around there. Goals and desires. What do they want? What is the solution they are seeking at the end of the day? And it could be some interesting things. It might be to get the thing fixed, but there might be another reason for it, right? It might be that they're working from home now and they're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and the sun is just blinding them in the afternoons, right? It could be something as simple as, I just need to get some drapes in here to block out the sun, right? Or some blackout shades or something like that. Or it could be that it's a vacation home and they want to Airbnb it out and they want to get the best price for it, right? So having something that looks really good could be another goal or desire. So start to think about those things. And as you talk with customers, what is the end goal for them? In new construction, obviously, to have a nice home right off the bat and have where the neighbors don't peek in. So at the end of the day, if you can see Joe Smith through Joe Smith's eyes, then you'll know how to sell what Joe Smith buys. It really makes the job of selling a lot easier because you have a pretty good idea of who that person is that has, picked up the phone and called you or filled out a form on your site or is using the chat widget or whatever it happens to be. All right. Next up is the message. So now that we know who we're talking to, let's talk about what should we say to them, right? What should we say? Hi, Jose. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it. All right. So one of the things that we can do is, why should your avatar, the person we just kind of put together, why should they choose to do business with you over a competitor in town? So we need to come up with some ideas. What are some different things that we do? And we'll talk about some of these here in a couple minutes, but definitely something to have in your mind. Why should they be doing work with us? What benefits do you offer to that avatar that they'll resonate with, right? So if we go back to look at goals and desires, we can start to put together some benefits or some things that end result will be very appealing to them. So we can start to work on that. Pain points, we kind of talked about this already. From the other stand, instead of talking about benefits, what are some pain points that you could poke at that they'll still resonate with and be like, oh yeah, I really am tired of the sun blaring in the afternoon, right? So think about pain points. What are some things that you can kind of poke at in your messaging and in your ads that can really get their attention and help you stand out from the rest of the people that are the rest of the competitors in your area? So here's some ideas. Same day service, emergency service, maybe not such a thing. I don't know how many drapery emergencies there are, but there could be some. Maybe it's the free estimates. It's the free in-home consultation, right? We're always on time. We take COVID precautions, that would even be one. 30-day money back guarantee. I don't know about that, but delivery of products is a big one right now. Even finding installers can be a little bit difficult. So, we will be there when we say we do. Talked with a guy the other day, and I think he was in Phoenix, who had like a 2-week turnaround for awnings because he had the capability of doing it in-house. And he wasn't stuck with all these other competitors in town that were on 6 to 8 week turnarounds because they were waiting on shipping, things like that. That's a huge selling point of something that you can get done, especially in an area like Phoenix, Scottsdale, where it's still fairly warm and people want to get things done. So definitely different ways to go about using messaging that works. And then, of course, as it says here, attracts. You want to have things that attract people as well. Now, we're not going to go into a ton of detail today about reviews, but I do want to make sure that I mention it. Reviews really do speak volumes about your business. Reviews can drive people away. They can drive people to you. There's something called social proof, which is people seeing that other companies have reviews, or you have more reviews than all the other companies, and just assuming you must be the company to work with. And that could also work the other way, where the other companies have a lot of reviews and you don't have very many. That could work against you as well. So reviews are definitely important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. I do want to mention that reviews versus testimonials, I know it's just kind of semantics, but there is a difference. Reviews are people leaving reviews on other websites that are not your own. So obviously the biggest one is Google Business Profile. But there's Facebook, there's Yelp, there's all these, Houzz, there's all these other platforms where people could leave reviews for your business. Google trusts those reviews because they're on these third-party platforms. A testimonial could still be a review, but it's something that you put on your own website. And the biggest difference here is you put it on your website, you have control over your site, you can say whatever you want and make up customers and make up testimonials. Google doesn't trust those, right? They understand the difference. So definitely worth putting testimonials on your site because there is some trust factor that's growing there, but focus and goal needs to be on getting those external reviews on those other platforms, starting with Google for sure. I mentioned social proof. It's really just kind of a psychological thing that if other people are doing something, I'm probably okay by making a choice to do that as well, right? And the easiest one here is the difference in reviews. So we've got, I think this is, I don't remember where I did this search, maybe, Miami, it looks like. So Shades by Design, 61 reviews, 4.8 star average. Then we've got Biscayne Decor with just 5 stars or 5 reviews. And then we've got the Shade Store with 14 reviews, but 3.9 average stars, right? So just looking at this, most people, because of social proof, are going to choose Shades by Design. If these are the two that they're up against, they're in a pretty good spot from that. So having a ton of reviews and having that high review number is really going to help them. So, all right, make the case for your business. There's a place in the workbook for this. What are the different things that help you kind of set yourself apart? Is it upfront pricing? Is it that we have a really good turnaround? We'll leave we'll leave your home cleaner than when we found it. We take precautions, we wear masks, whatever that happens to be. Put those down, and that helps you with your overall messaging long term, right? All right, benefits of knowing your message. You can talk more directly to your avatar. You already know what your avatar's pain points are. You know what they resonate with. Now you're able to kind of talk to that avatar a lot easier because you're hitting them where they're at, as it says here. Gives them typically a reason to take action, right? You're talking about the benefits. You're talking about the solutions. We are the ones that can make this thing happen for you. And we know that's what you want to happen. So it also makes them feel less like a customer and more like, wow, this is really a company that I can trust and that I resonate with, right? Even if they don't realize what you're doing, it can really work out to your advantage. All right, so that is the message. Any questions about the market or the message? I forgot to ask about questions earlier. Who's got any questions? You can unmute yourself or put them in the chat, whatever works best for you, but I want to make sure that I'm getting everything answered. What questions do you guys have? Melody says, this is great. Melody, you are so right. This is great. I appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you so much. All right. I don't see any questions. If you guys do have any questions, please just put them in the chat. I'm watching that, so I will make sure I get those answered as well. So, all right, last piece here is the media. We know who we're talking to. We know what to say. Now, how are we going to get in front of these people, right? And this is obviously where the digital marketing piece can come in to help you with this. So first thing, your website is the hub of everything you do. If your website is not built to convert people from looky-loos into leads, it's not a great website, right? Websites can be beautiful. They can make you feel really good, but if they don't convert, they're not really that great, right? There's something different. If you're in our private Facebook group, there's a discussion about this. Pretty websites don't generate leads. Sometimes they do, and it certainly helps to have a nice design, but it is not the end all goal for a website. It's really the place to generate conversions. And all of the things that you do, whether it's a radio ad or it's YouTube, or it's a Facebook ad, or anything you do, people are driven back to your website, right? That is the hub of everything you do. So it needs to be good. It needs to have conversion in place. It needs to have the right calls to action so that they know what that next step is. That has to have that kind of a thing. So here's a screenshot from one client of ours. And the really big thing here is, well, there's a couple calls to action here, right? Call to action meaning obvious next step. I think the biggest one is the orange button. It stands out. It's a different color. Schedule a complimentary in-home appointment. Very easy to see. They've also got the phone number right above that. They've got a chat widget down here at the bottom where somebody could start talking to them right away. Lots of different ways for people to engage with this business. And as you scroll down the page, there's still a way to engage with that company. So does your site convert visitors to the next step? This is a big thing that you have to have in place. More, I keep saying it, but more than just a pretty site. It needs to convert because that's our end goal here, right? Is to get jobs and get leads and hopefully live a decent life. So next, is there a lead magnet in place? So a lead magnet is exactly what it sounds like. It's something that is attracting those leads to take action. And here's the big thing with people that visit your website. There's really two kinds of people that are visiting. There are people in research mode where they're like, you know what? I need to look into getting new blinds in the kitchen, right? And those people may be thinking, we're probably going to do this in 6 months. So let me do a little research now. So there's researchers. The other group is the purchasers, right? They're in purchase mode. They're looking for a solution, typically in a short amount of time, or they want to get the process started right away. So lead magnets are great for both of those. And let me show you an example of this. So same website, Sunshine Drapery. You can see this a couple years old, but on the right, free design guide. So this is a design guide, and really this is built for those people that are in research mode. They're not ready to purchase right now, but we know they're on the website because they're looking around. So why not give them something of value in exchange for their email address, get them into my newsletter, and then 6 months from now, since I'm doing my newsletter every month, I'm going to be top of mind because they downloaded our free design guide, right? And this is I don't remember, it's a 4 or 5 page PDF about different designs and different types of windows, I think. So this is an example of a lead magnet. There are plenty of others. The one thing you don't want to do is just put something at the bottom of the page that says sign up for our newsletter, right? There's no reason to do so. There's no value. At least with this, they're still signing up for the newsletter, right? But they're getting value out of it. They're getting something in return for handing over something of value to them, which is their email address. So definitely a great way to go about getting some of those, especially some of those people that are in that research mode. Are there tracking mechanisms in place? So do you have things like Google Analytics on your site? Definitely worth doing. It's a free tool, so why not have that on your site so you can start to track people as time goes on, see where they're coming from, how they're engaging with your site. Things they're not doing on your site is always some good data too. Is there some sort of a lead source tracking in place? So this is a screenshot of our system called Lead Boomerang. And what this does is every lead that comes in is tracked in this system. And it definitely gives you a good idea of where people are coming from, what they're seeing, how they're engaging with your business, and which lead sources are working the best. Now, I do see a little yellow thing here, and I don't know how I did that. I must have drew on the screen at some point. I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to click it because I'll mess something else up. So I apologize for the yellow thing. Go ahead, Melody.
Hey, Will, quick question for you on the boomerang, because that's your invention.
It's a tool it's a white labeled tool that we have taken and then modified specifically for the window treatment and awning industries.
So when you say you get every lead is tracked in the system, and I guess I'm being tracked too when I go to a website and I see something I like, and then it boomerangs me back to, I'm automatically put into their, if they have your boomerang product, I'm automatically put into a their letter, what do you call it?
The newsletter.
Newsletter. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a different tool that we have called Email Boomerang. But yeah, that's exactly what that tool does. Is if somebody visits one of our clients' websites, we have a tool in place that reverse engineers who that visitor was, and then sends them an email saying, "Hey, thanks for visiting our site. Here's a little bit about our company. This is what we do." So that is definitely something that does happen, and it does work. It's a little creepy, right? But I think people understand that's just the internet now.
I think we're way past creepy. And
Yeah.
I think this is the way it is now.
Yep. Totally agree. So that's our Email Boomerang service or tool. Lead Boomerang in itself is like a CRM, if you're familiar with customer relationship type softwares. Every customer is in here. You can see what they did, what they purchased. You can tag them. There's automations around asking for reviews. There's the chat widget. So there's a lot of pieces to this particular software that all of our clients get access to. And it really just helps them track every single lead and understand where every single lead is in the sales process.
Is this a good time for you to ask about, for us to ask about things like what is MailChimp and things like that?
Yeah, so MailChimp is just another newsletter type service that you can do email outreach on. And yeah, Lead Boomerang does the same kind of stuff where you can send out newsletters, things of that sort. MailChimp, Constant Contact is another very popular one. Active Campaign is another one. So there's a lot of those different kinds of services that the only thing they do is the email marketing piece.
Is that also e-invite or e-bite?
Could be. Could be. I'm not familiar with that
one. You get invited to a party and it has an invite thing on it. That's probably separate. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. There's a lot of those different types of services out there. So, all right. Google Analytics. I did mention this. One thing that's really cool about Google Analytics is you can set up goals in there that you want people to achieve a certain thing on your website. So let's say you want people to download your design guide, right, that you built. So you could build a page on your site that says, thank you for downloading our design guide, or thank you for filling out our consultation form. And then you can create a goal that tracks every time somebody reaches that thank you page. We know that that is a checkbox in the goals area, because there's no other way they could reach that page other than doing whatever that previous step was. So then you can start to, over time, say, yeah, we've hit our goal this many times this quarter. Next quarter, we want to hit it this many times, right? So you can start to track all of these different things and understand what's going on. So this is a screenshot of one of our clients' analytics from January of 2020 to June 1, 2020. And the interesting thing about this one is they had 1,100 goal completions, or 1,100 leads came in through whatever source over the course of that 6 months. But if we look over here on the right, we can see 156 people set an appointment through the set appointment form on their website. 800 people picked up the phone and called. And then we have down below that 67 people just downloaded the design guide. And in this case, we actually had a Hunter Douglas catalog up there where they could download that. And interestingly, only 12 people, or 2 people per month, downloaded that calendar or that catalog. But really cool that you can set up different goals in there and start to track how people are interacting with your website. Now, the other really cool thing about this particular analytics is we had, remember that thing called the pandemic? I'm sure you guys remember that. They were closed for 6 weeks right here in the March, April timeframe. And you can see, because they had a lot of the digital marketing pieces in place, that their leads slowed down, but they didn't slow down significantly. They slowed down a little bit, but not very much for that time frame, So pretty cool that having all these things in place can have some very long-term effects on your business, and not just running ads on Google. That's something that you have to turn on and off immediately. So also call tracking. This is another thing that we do for every one of our clients as well. Every phone call that comes through your website is tracked. We can record those calls, but working backwards from that phone call, you can see how that person found you, how they came into your ecosystem in the first place. So call tracking is awesome. We put call tracking on every client's website. We also put call tracking on like their Google business profile, because what we're seeing now is around 60 to 65% of the leads for our clients are coming from Google business profile. They're actually making their decision from that 3-pack with the maps and the pins. They're making their decision from there and not necessarily visiting the website. So having some mechanism in place to make sure we're tracking those engagements as well, very important. So, all right, so we want to do a little test here with you guys. Pull up your website, and if you can't do it right now, that's cool. But think about this. Pull up your website, scroll down, or maybe click a link or two on the website, scroll halfway down on the website, and then on that random page that you landed on, is there a call to action? Is there an obvious next step? Is there a phone number? Did the phone number stay at the top as you scrolled down? Is it a click to call? So on mobile devices, if they're halfway down and they still see your phone number, can they just click on that and call you? So really cool little exercise to do. Do this a couple times, bounce around on a couple different pages, scroll halfway down and see, is there a call to action? If I was a customer, is there a next step right now at this, whatever page I'm on, right? Gives you some really good ideas about what maybe needs to be tweaked, what needs to be changed. I'd say the biggest swing and miss that we see the most often is phone number not at the top, sticky header, or the header, the navigation in that top area sticks as you scroll down the website. It's always up there, so there's always a call to action. Those are some big things that we see that are missed. And then, of course, mobile friendly. It definitely needs to be mobile friendly. So the problem here really is that 50 to 60% of inbound traffic leave without converting. And a lot of times web forms fail to convert, right? People are filling out forms. They're hitting the back button. They're going to a competitor. They're filling out the form. They're going back. They're hitting they're filling out 3 or 4 forms maybe and seeing which company actually replies. Leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes tend to go cold. And I remember having a conversation with Rachel about this, about how fast these leads go cold. The average customer needs to be followed up 5 to 7 times before they actually book an appointment, which is just crazy. And today's consumer, this is a big one. Today's consumer prefers to interact via text message over phone call or email. For some reason, that SMS messaging, and it has like a 99% open rate. Nobody likes to have a text message on their phone that isn't, or that's floating around out there that they haven't looked at. So definitely something very, very important to make sure that you are doing that as part of what you do, that you are using texting. Probably my favorite slide of all the slides you're going to see today. The time it takes, let me get over here. The time it takes from when they fill out a form or they hit your chat widget or whatever it is to the time you answer, your conversion rate just tanks. I mean, it just plummets. It's crazy. And these are not terrible numbers. 30 minutes, you're only probably going to get 62% of them to do something. An hour, you're on the ladder and you can't get back to them for an hour, forget it. You're only going to get 1 out of 3 to even engage with you after that. And then the second chart here, how many times do we need to follow up before they actually convert? And you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the 6th time that you followed up, 93% are going to convert. So a lot of companies out there that don't follow up, a lot of companies that don't reply quickly to a potential lead. So the important thing here is to leverage marketing automation. There's tons of ways to do this now, so that when they fill out a form or they engage with your chat widget, something automatically comes back to them very quickly saying, hey, we got your information. This is Rachel, the owner. Somebody from my team will be reaching out soon, right? Something like that can really help you. It does a couple things. It helps you have a better chance at converting. It may also stop them from searching, right? If they're going and filling out 3 or 4 forms because nobody seems to call them back. If they fill out a form on your site and a minute or 2 later, you send them a text saying, hey, we'll get with you soon, it probably stops their search right at that point. So definitely worth having that in place. Melody said, in your opinion, are 1-800 numbers still a good idea? I think it's probably a waste of money. There's no reason for that anymore. I mean, if you already have one, certainly, but I don't think for most of our clients, they only work within a 50-mile radius, or something around that, maybe 100 miles if they want, but a certain area, right? So having toll-free number doesn't really even make sense anymore. And then don't see a reason for that. I know they cost a little bit extra as well. And I don't think anybody really pays for long distance anymore. So how about Better Business Bureau? Not sure what you mean by that, but I'm assuming, should I be a member? That's probably a discussion for a different day, to be honest with you. Now, Better Business Bureau does offer a free listing on their site, which counts as a link back to your site. So definitely want to do that. But as far as joining the BBA, that's probably a different conversation. So, all right, automate to follow up so that every prospect is touched multiple times, and especially SMS or 2-way text messaging. So with these things in place, here's a couple examples. Let's say out of 100 leads, our true conversion rate is 30%. We don't follow up with anybody. So that means we're going to book 30 jobs. If our average ticket is $4,500, that means those jobs are going to turn into $135,000 in revenue. Now, if we put in place a follow-up sequence, same leads, that same 100 leads with a follow-up sequence, you're more likely to book 70% of those. So that becomes $315,000 in revenue, just because you put those things in place. Same amount of leads, you're just treating them a little bit better, I guess you could say, which obviously, as it says, makes every lead much more valuable to you. So, all right, action items. What conversion elements can you put on your website? So we talked about things like the phone number at the top, it's click to call, you have a lead magnet. all these different things that you could do. Put some of those down in the workbook that resonated with you and that you think you could probably implement in the coming months. So we talked about having a clear goal for the year. We've got all around the marketing, the message, the media. We talked about optimizing your site for conversion. We talked about tracking, those sorts of things. I would love it if you guys would unmute and just real quick tell me what kind of takeaways do you have from today? And I do want to make sure I answer other questions. I also want to tell you how you can get a copy of my book if you don't have it. But what takeaways do you have from things that you learned today? Go
That
ahead,
I'm not
Melody.
doing enough.
Say it again.
That I'm not doing enough, obviously.
Not doing enough. Yeah, that's a big one. And again, it can be pretty overwhelming.
But the class that you teach, you know, a lot of the stuff that you taught at IWCE in South Florida was amazing because, you know, the cobwebs are starting to go spark, spark, spark in my brain. And I'm saying, wow.
Yeah.
That was the one I should have gone to twice. But, you know, but this one is clear because my feet don't hurt. I slept in my own bed last night and I didn't have to walk 300 yards across the construction site to get to your class as we did South Florida from the Hilton. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'm really glad that you got some value. Anybody else want to share anything that they learned today?
Well, my takeaway is like caught and not taught really is that if this needs constant tracking and if you don't have the expertise to do it, then you need to have someone do it for you because you want to be focused on what your core competencies are, which is in the fabrication. And for me, it's in the education. Yeah.
Very true, Janie. That's fantastic. You get so caught up in, what do they say? Working in the business that you're not taking the time to work on the business. And that can really start to hinder your business from growing, right? So finding people that help, that understand these things and help your business grow. Yeah, thank you. That's really good. All right. Mary, did you have something? I just want to make sure I didn't miss you if you had unmuted.
I just was shocked at the statistic of how long it takes to connect when you follow up with somebody. I tend to be really bad at that. I'll call a warm lead or a cool lead like once or twice. And then I'm like, well, I guess they weren't really that interested. And that's one of my goals to become better at it in 2023.
Yeah, definitely the automation around that is great. We've got one automation where if somebody misses a phone call, we actually text that caller back and say, hey, sorry, we missed your call. How can we help? And it starts that text conversation with them. Because maybe, like I said, maybe you're on the ladder, or maybe you're at an in-home consult or something like that. So having those things in place can really help keep that time to a minimum and increase the chances of you getting that lead. So awesome. Jose did ask, will we be able to see this recording later on? Yes, I am streaming it live right now on YouTube. And so you can find it on our website, our YouTube channel. And I will send out the replay about this tomorrow as well. All right. So everything we talked about is obviously a huge piece of the digital dominance method. There's a lot of pieces. And there's a lot of pieces involved in, what should I do? Well, I need to do all these things, but really, what should I do first? Where should I start? If you don't have a good idea where to start of all these different things you could do, I would highly encourage you to start with content. Look at the content on your site or the lack thereof, maybe, and start building content around products and services and common questions that you hear from customers, right? Start to turn that into content on your site. Content could also be video. It could also be audio if you're interested in doing a podcast. Those kinds of things. If you're okay being on camera, all of that kind of content can really help your business grow. It's a great way to start. I'd also encourage you to make sure your Google business profile is up to date. Google.com/business is where you would go to claim your listing and then optimize that, get that going. And on our website, WT, I'll put it in the chat here. Yes, can't talk and type, I guess, at the same time. WTmarketingpros.com/training. There is a webinar that I did specifically on how to optimize your Google business profile. So take a minute and check that out as well. Oops, I sent that as a private message to Dave. Let me put that as everybody. There you go. All right, that's in the chat too. But that's where you need to start. Get that optimized because, as I said, 60% of our clients' leads are coming from this platform. So you need to be on there and you need to have that optimized. And you need to start getting those reviews. That's the other big piece of it. There are a lot of different websites out there that offer review services, things like that. Just get that process started. What about social media? So sometimes I get questions about this. Social media has a place in your business, but it's not at the beginning. It's not something that, listen, people are going on Facebook to look at babies and cats, right? Like I said earlier, they're not going on there to find out where they can get window treatments. So it's definitely important, and it's part of the touch, as they engage with your business and you touch them on different platforms. It's definitely important, but it is not the main focus. If you have your SEO in place, you have a converting website, definitely social media should be on your radar as something that can help you really expand your growth. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. The other thing is paid ads. Paid ads are a huge part of this, and I'm talking typically about Google ads or Google AdWords, but there's also Facebook ads. Nick was on earlier, said he knows about Facebook ads, but nothing else. So definitely having those ads can generate revenue for you. And the thing about SEO is it takes a while to kick off. It takes a while to start happening. It's a moving target. It is an ever expanding target. For a lot of our clients, what they'll do is they'll start their pay-per-click and SEO. And then as SEO finally starts to kick in, I'd say 50% of our clients pull their pay-per-click budget back. 50% of them saying, you know what, it's running really well. Let's just keep it going and use it as a supplement for an already well-running campaign. But it definitely has to be in the mix, unfortunately. The big thing with pay-per-click here, kind of like social, don't rely just on those to generate leads, because when you stop doing them, the phone's just going to stop ringing, right? With SEO, long-term play, long-term benefit, great investment, and it's going to result in a lot more income as time goes on. So, all right, benefits of using the right media means you're fishing in the right pond. You're fishing in a pond that's hungry. You already know people are on the web searching for what you do. Gives you an opportunity to look bigger than you are, more cutting edge, because you responded in 2 minutes to that with that text message, those kinds of things. These things can really help improve your overall conversion rates. So in your workbook, make sure you put down your top 3. What are the things that you want to do this year to hit those numbers and to just increase your business? Quite honestly, just grow it bigger and bigger. It doesn't have to be this huge increase, right? But let's keep doing things that move the needle forward so that next year, when we're looking at these things, we see, wow, we really made some heck of great increases over the last year. So, all right, quick recap. Got your goals and your targets for the year, clarity around the 3 M's. You understand about optimizing your website, or at least the call to action piece of that. It's very, very important for you guys. Talked a little bit about tracking and data and how you can work, use Google Analytics, our lead boomerang system to understand where your leads are coming from. And hopefully the knowledge to execute this and make it awesome over the next year. I do have time for some Q&A. I know I went over a little bit. I apologize for that. I wanted to keep it to an hour, but went a little bit over that. I also do want to mention next month on the 16th, we are doing managing your online reputation. So we'll have that link up within about a week or so on the website so that you can sign up for that. But that's going to be a really good one around how to get more reviews, how to do automations like we talked about today to get more of those reviews from people that maybe you've already done work for, things like that. Also, if you want a copy of my book, this is your opportunity, wtmarketingpros.com/book. And I'll stick one in the mail to you. Absolutely free. Would love to do that. wtmarketingpros.com/book is where you get that. So, all right, Q&A. Who's got any questions here that I haven't answered that you guys would like an answer to? Either that or I have provided all of the knowledge for you guys to have a great year. Either way, I hope you got some great value out of this. If you do have any questions, plug them in the chat, unmute. We will answer those now. If you have questions later on, shoot those over to me in an email. Go to the website, wtmarketingpros.com/strategy is a great way to set up a discovery call. And we'll just talk about what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and see if we can help you get there. So, Jose, thank you. Yes. Melody says, thanks so much. We'll be in touch. Awesome. Appreciate you guys jumping on today. Again, I apologize for going a little bit long, but hopefully you've gained some value, and wish you an awesome 2023. It's going to be a great year, and appreciate you guys jumping on. Take care, everybody. Thanks. Will you be teaching at IWCE? Yes, I have 4 sessions at IWCE this year. Got my hotel yesterday, so I'm set. Yes, I will be there. I have 4 sessions. Well, of course, we have a booth. Come over, see us at the booth, get some freebies, things like that as well. So Mark says, good seminar. Walter says, thanks. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.